Let's see if it works. It's already. You are looking live. It's sold out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants will be taking on the 0-16 Philadelphia Eagles. And why are the Philadelphia Eagles 0-16? Because they suck. They lost the Super Bowl because they suck. Philadelphia sucks. Rolls right off the tongue there, folks. Philadelphia sucks. And welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight. Shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free. Fire away. Throw in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to as fast as I can. So please feel free. Fire away. And before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, the top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon, second one's called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third membership level is called the Gridiron. Each one has their own little perks to it. So if you want to help support my channel, I thank you so much in advance, and it would mean the world to me. Thank you. And if you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. But if you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. And then finally, in the description box below, there's 2 Facebook links. The top Facebook link takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's a group, and I'll say this in every video. Basically, my YouTube channel, my Facebook group, and my Facebook page. It's all called the same thing. It dumbs it down for me. That's why I don't have to. What's my YouTube channel called? What's my Facebook group called? It's all called the same thing. Makes it nice and easy for me. All right. So in the group, the New York Giants, the Gridiron, we reached 4,500 members. Doing pretty good. Usually what I do is once I get done going live here, I'll spend like the next couple of hours just like putting stuff in the group and in my Facebook page, which I'll go over in just a minute. All right. I'll try to get at least 10 things every day. And I'll tell you what, with training camp and all kinds of stuff going on, it's easy. I'm getting well over 10. I mean, whether it's a post, a picture, I'm just sharing an article. There's a video I'm sharing, something just showing some stats and a ball player, something making fun of the Eagles or the Cowboys, which are my personal favorites, right? It's easy. I can get a ton of stuff 7 days a week. If I got internet access, pretty much 7 days a week, 365, there's stuff going in there, right? And now if you become a member, not only do I post stuff in here, but the members post stuff in here as well. So there's a ton of stuff going in here every day. And then the second Facebook link that takes you to my Facebook page. I'm the administrator in there. All right. So I'm the only one to post anything. But it's called the same thing. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's a page, right? We have over 2,600 likes, and we just reached over 7,700 followers. It was kind of like almost the same thing last year during the toward the end of the season. Like about pretty much just about every day. I was going up by like another 100 followers. It was really, really doing good. In the off season, it slows down a little bit. It's not everybody's stalk wild crazy about going over to Giants or anything, like that. So the amount of people that want to follow on a per day basis winds up going down a little bit. But I mean, once the season starts, it seems like I'm great, like another 100 followers every day. The page is really, really taking off. It's really doing well. And it's the same thing as like with the group. I mean, if I got internet access, unless I'm on Jupiter or something, pretty much 365, there's stuff going in there. And it's the same thing with the group. I try to put like at least 10 things every day in there. But I mean, with training camp going on, there's people taking pictures and stuff and all kinds of videos and putting stuff on in the other groups and everything. So I copy and take the pictures and all that. And I put them in the page and I put them in the group, And I said, whether it's a video, a post, I'm sharing an article, just something showing some stats on a ball player. Once again, something making fun of the Eagles or the Cowboys, which are my personal favorites, right? I'm going to get a ton of stuff going in here every day in a page. And I don't commingle them. So basically, the stuff that I put in the page, I don't put in a group. Whatever I put in a group, I don't put in a page. I just try to keep the stuff separate. It's all New York Giants related, right? But I just try to keep them separate. I said, unless if I see something really makes fun of the Eagles, then I just got to share that with everybody, right? But for the most part, I just try to keep the stuff separate, all right? So as I said, so if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, there's a ton every day, 7 days a week, 365 of New York Giants information every day. And I said, you can't make everybody happy, right? So if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, if you're not 100% satisfied, you get your money back guaranteed. All right. Hey, what's up, Terrence? Hey, what's up, buddy? Good to be back, man. Whoa, we got three. We got Terrence. We got Jersey guys. Yeah. Hey, Terrence. Terrence is back. And then we got Teddy. Ed McCaffrey curse. You brought him up the other night too, I think. McCaffrey. 49ers last ball was with Ed. One playoff catch before cut. Yeah, I think you brought McCaffrey up the other time, I think. Oh, just kicked my dog. Sorry, Randy. Sorry. I'm sorry. He's under my feet. I can't see him, so every time I gotta move my feet or stretch my feet or something, I'm always in jeopardy of just accidentally, waking him up, and then it just startles him. But I tell you what, the pads came on today, right? They were doing some popping. I seen some videos out there that are pretty cool. I saw some stuff. Somebody was thinking, I don't know exactly if it was a fan or not, but in the groups and all and everything. I said, of course, everybody's waiting for the sexy Dexy John Michael Schmitz era to start. So, John Michael held his own, if you want to call it that. But sexy kind of walked him back. Of course you're kind of expecting that, but it is what it is. But the pads were popping. What I saw, there's a couple articles here I've seen was who's this from Sports Illustrated? Is that what it says? It said the defense wins the day of Fan Nation. Now, is this was Patty Trainer? Looks like a Patty Trainer. Good old Patty Trainer. She said the defense wins the day. The Giants took one step closer to playing real football on Tuesday night when they practiced in full pads. That opens things up for more physical, more fights, which, of course, Daboll does not want. Developing due to short tempers in the heat of the moment and a whole other level of competition that sometimes takes things to a step too far. But in team meetings, head coach Brian Daboll has undoubtedly made it clear what he expects to see from his players when they practice in pads. He said, I think we've got to practice well with one another, stay off the ground, but get our fundamental work in, he said before Tuesday's practice. There's usually some excitement from the players, but you have to do a good job of making sure that you don't lose your technique and fundamentals. The energy is usually always good the first day of pads. Yep. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But we've got to make sure we're doing things the right way. He said the main priority in every practice is to get better at technique and improve, said an interior offense Ben Bredesen. The fact that we have pads on now make things a little bit more intense. Oh, yeah. Bredesen believes that a player can learn how to practice without pads so that once the 5-day mandatory acclimation period is over, which it is, moving around with pads is second nature. But one thing here, injury update. So we got, Shepard says having his practice reps managed now that he's off the PUP list. So he took some reps after sitting out Monday's practice. So I think he was in there Sunday, right? They took him off PUP. So he was in there Sunday, but then managing him. So he was out. He didn't practice sitting out. He was on Monday, sat out. But then I guess he was in there tonight. Ryan Jones, which is cool, returned to practice. Now you kind of wonder if he's going to be able to make the 53. maybe, maybe he'll make the practice squad, but Hottie did not. Jaylen Waddle was working on the side and seemed to be moving well. Dable did mention something about one of his press conferences, said Ward was issue wasn't something that he anticipates keeping the outside linebacker sideline for long. So, but it was offensive line versus the defensive line. And of course, I guess this is Patty. He said, given a chance to watch the O-line versus the D-line one-on-one or the D-backs versus the receivers, I went with the former, which did not disappoint. John Michael Schmitz went up twice against Dexter Lawrence, and although Schmitz did give up some ground, well, what I saw, he gave up a lot of ground. He held his own, so that's good. Obviously, Dexter Lawrence is going to make him nothing but better. You're going up against the premier, defensive nose tackle, wherever they're going to want to put him in the league. It's only going to make John Michael Schmitz better. You don't want him going up against a kindergartner, so he's going to get better. Without question, he's going to get better. So still, Patty said, I guess she said, still, I gave the nod to Lawrence, who is just a load for most blockers to handle one-on-one. Yep. Then it said Evan Neal had 2 reps, 1 each against Azeez and Kayvon. Apparently, he didn't do too well there. But said, give the nod to the 2 defenders. Ojulari's quick burst. Yeah, that freaking guy. I'll tell you what, man. Hopefully he can stay healthy, boy. There were times last year, it looked like he was just shot out of a freaking rocket some of those times, man. When they snapped the ball, he was just around the corner. He was just like amazing some of those times last year. Unfortunately, with the injury bug, hopefully the injury bug doesn't get him. Says Ojulari's quick burst seemed to catch Neal off guard to where he had to catch the defender with the momentum going forward. Neal kept the pocket clean on that rush, but I gave the win to Ojulari there, who made Neal work for it. As for Thibodeau, the pass rusher won the battle with a second effort inside move that left Neal grasping at air. Well, we were just talking about Tyree. Of course, this is just one play, and it doesn't, But I was just talking about last night how Patty was also kind of mentioning, right, in one of her videos that Tyree Phillips might be the swing tackle. Right, because you got Neal, you got Thomas, you need another tackle. But they also had Phillips inside playing guard too, flexibility there. So she was talking about that, talking him up, right? And I brought that up last night, saying that Tyree might be the swing tackle, with his flexibility and all that. So he might be one of the, I guess, maybe 8 guys they keep on the 53. But so Toman Fox knocked him to the ground, easily winning that rep. Joshua Zudu won his matchup against Ryder Anderson. Leonard Williams got the better of Mark Lewinsky in one of their 2 matchups. Ben Bredesen had no trouble handling rookie Jordan Riley. To Sean Bauer, just barely lost one of his battles against Devery Hamilton. Shane Lemieux showed stubbornness in handling Brandon Bryant. And Andrew Thomas, this is at least you want to hear this, guys. Put on a clinic, his 2 reps against Thibodeau and Ojulari. Oh man, we're so lucky we got that freaking guy. But then she has what? Defense wins the day. It's a new world once the pads go on and players can get physical. So after seeing the offense win most of the previous days of practice, defense upped the ante on Tuesday, as I suspected would be the case. Defensive coordinator, good old Wink, brought a lot of pressure packages, both from the second level as well as some corner and safety blitzes. During one of the 11-on-11 series, I counted 3 sacks on Daniel Jones. Ooh. 2 of them coming on jailbreaks. Ooh. I also thought the defense did a nice job stuffing the Giants' rushing attack. I don't recall seeing a single run by Saquon going to the left side. Most of his rushing attacks went up the gut or to the right. And I thought Bobby Okereke brought in to help stop the bleeding in the run defense, and Darian Beavers had a good showing against the run. Each one of those guys taking a turn and blowing up a play in the backfield. Then we got, she has here the quote of the day. He's a unicorn. Watching him be able to do what he does, even at his age, it's amazing. That's what Daniel Bellinger said on Darren Waller, the unicorn. Then she has other observations. We had our first this was Michael Schmitz. I don't know if he got a little antsy because I don't know if he maybe whoever was over him, but he wound up snapping the ball over Daniel Jones's head. Apparently that was the first bad snap. I guess he was keeping an eye on bad snaps, I guess, and all. But so we had our first bad snap of camp, an 11-on-11 when John Michael Schmidt's snap sailed over Daniel Jones's head. So that's pretty tough. Daniel Jones is a very, very athletic dude. He's 6'5". He can jump, he can run, he can jump. So if you're snapping it over his head, that's got to be, So it's hard to tell what happened there. If Schmitz was anticipating the rush, but he hurried the snap. So now I wonder if that was one of his, the regular snap or the snap that he usually did in college. There were more pre-snap motion. This is pretty cool too. There was more pre-snap motion in the team portion of the practice, most of it leading to a rushing attempt, though. But there were some interesting formations in this practice, which is kind of cool. The Giants had Darren Waller line up in the backfield, okay, and go in motion with Saquon Barkley being in the slot. I mean, how cool is that? Said the pass attempt went to Barkley in the flat, who turned it upfield. Then we saw another rep, which had Darius Slayton lined up in the slot. How cool is that, right? With Waller lined up wide, right? Nice. I mean, they're gonna have these freaking guys all over the place. Now, this is a bit, this is a little bit of a shocker because P-Dot, Paul Dottino, was talking about the other day on Big Blue Kickoff Live. He's like, I counted 2 after 5 practices. I counted 2 drop balls. So but then of course, let me see this. It is what it is. But it's Cole Beasley couldn't hang onto a short throw. I couldn't tell if this time it could be 2. He said I couldn't tell if the defender got a hand in there or if he just dropped it. Because also they were talking about, I think it was Paul Dottino was talking about, Cole Beasley's catching everything. It's like all these guys are pretty much catching everything. Everything is going their way. There's like no balls hitting the ground. Daniel Jones had 3 incomplete deep passes to Waller, Hodgins, and Hyatt. Trey Hawkins, who we're going to go over in a little bit, who again got reps with the ones, had a couple of pass breakups. Hawkins continues to make a strong case for a nice chunk of playing time. Darnay Holmes, who appears to be losing his quest to retain the slot cornerback job, it's still early, was among those fielding punts. But at the start of practice, and he muffed one of his opportunities. Speaking, and here we go. So now this is where it gets a little interesting. It kind of makes a little bit of sense, though, right? Speaking of slot cornerback, this is the second day in a row. Adoree Jackson, they just trying stuff out, so this is not written in stone or nothing like that. But right, second day in a row, Adoree Jackson took some snaps in the slot. Hawkins and Banks, the taller dudes, were lined up outside. The coaches are obviously intrigued by this formation to want to see more of it. Dable was not happy with the third-string offense with one series. There appeared to be confusion over what he was supposed to, the play, I guess, that was supposed to be run, so he blew the whistle and let them have an earful. Cordell Flott picked off a pass. The Giants no doubt want to see more interceptions. Oh, yeah. Jason Pinnock, who had been making a strong push for that second starting safety job, broke up a pass from Jones to Hyatt. Pinnock managed to get fine positioning on the play, getting an arm in there at the last minute. And then, of course, it says up next, the Giants are off on Wednesday, but we'll be back on the field for another string of 3 practices on Thursday. So I guess Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? And then I guess they're off Sunday. And I guess maybe, I think it's next what the heck is it? Tuesday and Wednesday, I believe it is. They're playing. That's when they're going to be in Detroit. So I'm not sure. I didn't check the times or nothing like that. So I guess they're going to practice maybe Monday and then I guess fly out there Monday night or Tuesday or however it is. But they got 2 practices out there in Detroit on Tuesday and Thursday. I guess it is. So there's you guys, Teddy, ultra wide. So thanks for your. So, but I mean, if you look, I mean, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. If I can find, there we go, we got it. So now Adoree Jackson's 5'11". All right, that guy. I mean, he could be whatever 190. Here I see he's 185. So he's obviously the smaller of the 3, right? Then we got, then we have Deonte Banks, who's 6'2", 205 pounds, 3 inches taller. Then, of course, we have Trey Hawkins, 6'3", 195 pounds, 195, 200 pounds or so. So, I mean, possibly, maybe make a little bit of sense, right? Having the wide, the taller guys outside, Adoree Jackson in the slot. Now, of course, this is not obviously written in stone, but it is kind of interesting saying that that they're at least tinkering around with it. And once again, it's just we've only had 6 days of training camp. That's all we've had. The pads only came on one time. This, that, and the other thing. And so you got to pull back on the reins a little bit. But keep hearing a lot of nice things about Trey Hawkins. Especially especially for is the 6'3". I mean, a cornerback, 6'3". I mean, he's got, he's the physicality, the speed, I think it was like 17 on reps, but I mean, his vertical, and everything. Nice. But 6'3", nice size corner, really nice size corner. Oh, yeah. Teddy's going off here. I love this. Teddy, 4K ultra wide, 21.9. I love that. Oh, man. And then it's, of course, the Hassenauer tore his tricep, so he's got to wind up getting, unfortunately. I mean, it's just freaking shame. I mean, I get no contact drills, I guess. Somehow he tore his tricep. But so the Giants wind up bringing in, I was talking about this guy last night because they brought in 4 guys, right? Now, I mean, none of the guys are going to be super spectacular because the one thing is like when they go down from 90 to 53, there's going to be some nice prospects out there to go out and bring in. But I was also mentioning this last night too. If I forgot what the number is, it's like over 1,200 guys are going to get cut loose at one time. But if you are interested in one of those 1,200 whatever guys, you have to put them on your 53, right? But I mean, I say there's going to be some good guys out there. So pretty much, you're looking at, the best of the best of the best are on a team right now. And they're going to be on a team to almost the start of regular season. There's probably, and we're talking about like kind of got guys off the street and all that. I mean, there might be a couple guys there who are free agents who are going to cost you some money, right? But it'd be kind of tough to find a real good diamond in the rough, because you got a ton of guys. I mean, look at it like this. What do you got? 32 teams. Say if each team just saying like the Giants have like say 15 guys, you're looking at 450 to 500 offensive linemen, right, are out there right now on teams. We're probably close to 500. 450 to 500. That's a lot of offensive linemen. So there are probably not many diamonds in the rough out there that you're going to just grasp that are on the street. I said I didn't look to see in Pro Football Focus or whoever the main. There's still a few nice, juicy free agents out there, but they wind up signing. They got Sean Harlow here. All right. I think I'm not sure if Justin Pugh still got some. If he's still a free agent or not. That I don't know. But I mean, it's going to cost you a little bit of money. Unlike Harlow here, which would wind up costing you, pretty much like the league minimum, I guess. But I mean, he's got 3 years of 2019. Wow. All right, let's see here. He was selected by the Falcons in the 2017 draft by the Falcons in the 4th round. All right, by Pro Football Focus, blocking. Let's see here. That's his blocking. Let's see here. How about snaps by position? Is it still the same thing? Yeah, pretty much. All right, so let's go here. I mean, I got he in 2019, right? He played 1 snap for the Falcons. So he was drafted in 2017. 2019, he played 1 snap, right? He didn't start playing really anything until 2021 with the Arizona Cardinals, 2021 and 2022. 2021, he had 441 snaps. And in last year with the Cardinals, he had 228 snaps. Basically, looked like he was a starter last season for the Cardinals in weeks 1, 5, and 6. But there's a little flexibility there, right? I mean, we're talking big time flexibility here. He played in weeks 1 and week 4 at left guard. He played weeks 5 and week 6 at center. Then he played in weeks 10 and 17 at left tackle. So, I mean, he graded out a 43.2. The first game of the season really brought his grades down. I mean, against Kansas City, he was a left guard for Kansas City. Apparently, he played the whole game, 65 snaps at left guard, week 1 at home against Kansas City. He graded out a 27.3. His pass blocking was a 0. Somebody was just torching him, right? And his run blocking was a 42.9. But other than that, the other 5 games he was in, he graded out a 57.3 overall against Carolina, against the Eagles with a very, very good front, no question. Week 5 he graded out a 62.3. Then he played against Seattle, graded out a 53.2, then a 60.4, and then the final game of the season, or his final game that he played in the season was at Atlanta. He graded out at a 60. So, I mean, could you do worse? Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I said the first game of the season against Kansas City, he really had a tough game. But the rest of the games, adequate. So he's got flexibility there. All right, now, once again, is he going to wind up making the starting 8? Probably not. But we'll have to wait and see. Because, he can play guard, he can play center, and even tackle. So, once again, we'll see. But don't, just because we brought him in and this, that, and the other thing, don't, How many pressures did he give up? Well, let's see here. Good question. All right, let's see here. Offensive grade, blocking, pass blocking. Oh, all right, let's show it. Pass. Here we go. All right, now we're talking. Good question there, Terrence. Excellent question. All right. Let's see. Pass blocking. All right. Last season, 147 pass blocking snaps. He gave up 2 sacks, 1 hit, 10. So he gave up 13 pressures in 147. So that's like 1 out of basically a little bit over 1 out of 11. Every 11, he gave up a pressure. So basically, if you just want to say it like this, if Daniel Jones dropped back about 35 times in a game, he would give up 3 pressures. Look, I mean, most of it was hurries, okay? But, in 147, he did give up 2 sacks. So if you want to look at for over a whole season, I mean, you could probably quadruple that. 147 passing attempts, close 500-600. I mean, he probably would have gave up 7-8 sacks over the course of a season. So, I mean, you figure at that rate, he probably would have gave up probably close to about 50 pressures. So, I mean, yeah, bring him in. I mean, it's competition. He certainly could do worse, but it's not, nothing super spectacular. But as I said, once again, I mean, that's the problem is that there's not many unless there's a couple of free agents out there that might cost you a little bit of money. But I'm not sure if Shane wants to go that way. I think because we got enough competition there, I think he wants to see. Because we still got a lot of questions. I mean, we're trying to see who's, do we have a starting left guard somewhere on the roster, right? Do we have somebody, as I said, the starting left guard? But then if we don't have we have starting left. Do we also have the starting right guard if we let Gawinski go after this season, right? So I mean, instead of bringing somebody else in, we give these guys, I guess, a chance to battle it out and see what happens. But I said, that's what you got to do because that House. It's a shame with Hassenauer. But once again, you don't even know if he was even going to make the team either, because I mean, Bredesen could possibly be a center. So. But then I saw this. Man, good old Jerry shooting his mouth off. Good old Jerry Jones, man, putting the rest of the Giants and the rest of the NFC East on notice. Wow. Mr. Big Mouth himself. Cowboys, Jerry Jones sends warning to the other NFC East teams. Oh, yeah. All right. Thanks, Jerry. You the man. Says this is from Yard Barker. Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones thinks the Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Giants, and the Commanders had better watch out for America's team this season. Oh, yeah. He said, I will say that Philadelphia and, if you will, the Giants and Washington team, they need to be on their game because we are. Jones recently declared, according to Clarence E. Hill Jr. of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. But it says both the Giants and the Cowboys qualified for the postseason tournament this past January, but the Eagles were certainly the cream of the crop. They went 14-3 to win the division and finish the 2022 regular season atop the overall conference standings. New York and Dallas each notched a single road playoff win, but then fell in the following round, while Philadelphia smashed both Big Blue and the 49ers en route to completing the trip to the Super Bowl. It says, interesting here. As of Tuesday, odds checkers listed the Eagles as the betting favorites at plus 330 odds to represent the NFC once again in the Super Bowl this coming February. The 49ers are second behind the Eagles at 400, followed by the Cowboys at 650. The Giants are in eighth. Wow. Well, see, a lot of that also, I mean, because we have tougher competition this year. We have a tough schedule, very tough schedule this year. The Giants are in eighth place with plus 2,500. Jones says we're going to be on our game, Jones continued, and we will be improved over last year. Yeah, all right. I don't want to dismiss how accomplished Philadelphia is. Yeah, you better not, buddy. The year that, I mean, you don't want to be given no bulletin board material this early. The year that they had last year and where they're starting this year, I don't want to dismiss that. No, you better not. And the Giants definitely have a chance to be better. And Washington could be really energized, so I don't need to be handicapped it relative to where we'll end up. Just we are better. I don't know about that. I mean, they had some guys, Mozzie Smith. I'm not over the moon about him. I mean, I don't know. Is Zach Martin even going to show up for you? You got a future Hall of Fame guard. I mean, he's a little ticked off because he's not making much money. I don't blame him. And from what I'm also reading, once again, I don't know. I've seen some stuff in like the groups and stuff like that. And like Jerry, I don't know if it was true or not, but Jerry responded or something like that to Zach Martin and says, we need the money because we have a guy, I think he means Parsons, who's going to need some money or something like that. So I don't know if he's trying to up Zach Martin's salary because they're going to pay Micah Parsons, I guess. I'm not sure. But, I'll tell you what, if they don't have Zach Martin there, I mean, okay, that's going to make things a little bit interesting on the offensive line for him. It says Jones won't have to wait long for the Cowboys to either prove his point or cause him to possibly eat his words. Dallas opens the upcoming regular season at none other than the Giants on Sunday Night Football. Oh, yeah. So that's sort of, but, I'm just, bulletin board. Yep. From an owner. Yep. Shades of Al Davis and George Steinbrenner. Oh, yeah. Well, he's the GM, he's the owner, he's the big mouth, he's all of that stuff and everything. But yeah, I mean, he's shooting his mouth off a little. Well, you got to give the man some credit. Hey, he's pumped up about his team and all that. I'm just, it's like with the Eagles and the Cowboys. I don't know if they got better. I mean, they both lost some. I mean, they got some guys in, but they lost some. So I don't know if they got better. I think that, of course, I'm a homer, this, that, and the other thing. I get it, but the Giants got better. You know what I mean? Now, how much better? We'll have to wait and see, But, so I definitely think without question, I mean, if the Cowboys were here and we were here, I definitely think we're if we haven't caught the Cowboys, I can understand that because the Cowboys, nice secondary. They get the front, they get lots of pressure. They get very good defense. They call good defenses. They always seem to give the Giants problems, especially like last season in the second half of the Thanksgiving game. It's like, where was the offense at? It's like, are we going to score a point? And we were winning. Well, what's going on there? Right? And then we scored. What was it? Was it 13-10? We went up after Saquon busted the 36-yard run. The place was just, the stadium was freaking rocking, going freaking bananas, going crazy. Saquon taking it to the house. Here we go, baby. And we couldn't score a point after that. So, so we had a hard time. We all seem to have a hard time with the Cowboys. And of course, their offense is going to be very good. You got ABCD Lamb out there. They brought Cooks in. So we'll see. But Ferguson's a good tight end. Pollard's a good running back. But, we'll have to see what Dak does here. Mr. Interception himself. He threw a lot of interceptions last year, but I don't know if they got really better. Same thing with the Eagles. I mean, it's just, it's just so tough because you got so many. They had so many guys. They just kept bringing them in, and Dominic and Sue, and a lot of those guys aren't there. They drafted okay. But they lost a lot of guys. So I said, so we'll have to just wait and see. But I said also too, I think the gap is definitely closed, especially with the Eagles too. But if you go to meangameslost.com, because I had a subscription with them, I'll have a subscription with them this year because I like following that kind of stuff. The Giants were the 6th most injured team, meaning they lost the most guy games due to injury. 6th most. The Eagles were the 4th least. Right? Switch that around. Now we're not talking the Eagles 14-3 and the Giants. Right? The Eagles. Lane Johnson at the end of the season, he had something. I forgot. It was down. Was his core muscle or somewhere in his leg. Somewhere down by his groin or somewhere around that. I think he had to have some kind of surgery, but that was toward the end of the season. For the most part, he was relatively healthy. Jalen Hurts had, I think it was his shoulder toward the end of the season. Remember that last game against the Giants? The last game of the season against the Giants, he wasn't 100%. He missed some time. But for the most part, they were pretty healthy. The Giants, we had a lot of guys. We had a lot of key guys that stayed healthy. Sexy Dexy, right? Kayvon for the most part. Daniel Jones made it through. Also Andrew Thomas. So we had a lot of guys, key guys, but we also had some guys too that were injured too. But according to ManGamesToLoss.com, the Giants were the 6th most injured team. Now you start looking like this. You go to the AFC. South, right? The Tennessee Titans were by far the most injured team in the NFL last year. They were number uno. The Jacksonville Jaguars were by far, they were the only team last year, ManGamesLoss.com, that only had double-digit losses, men lost games. They had I forgot what it was, 65 or something like that. Everybody else, total games lost by their men were over in triple digits. All the other teams, the Jaguars by far were the least injured team. Switch that around, right? Make the Jaguars the most injured, Tennessee the least. Well, guess what? Jacksonville's not winning the division. So it just goes to show you, Jacksonville, great season, blah, 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 but, you need to stay healthy too. They went in there. Peterson went in there. They had a bunch of free agent money. They went out and they went to Gurley World. They were just going, woo, bring this guy in, bring that. Of course, they brought Evan Ingram in. Of course, he looked like the greatest tight end of all time there last year. Of course, he was catching everything. Couldn't do it with the Giants, but he was catching everything. So they brought in a lot of guys, and it worked out well for them. But they were healthy, But that's not always the case, So injury has a lot to do with it, I don't remember exactly. I think the Cowboys were kind of like the middle of the pack, somewhere around there. They weren't really super duper healthy, but they weren't the most injured either. I think they were in the middle of the pack. But it said injury is going to have a lot to do with it as well too. And with Bob Papa, if you ever listen to him, I don't know. He's been calling it. I know since the '80s he's been calling the Giants, football games. I believe it's been. I think it's been since the '80s. '80 was certainly at least since the '90s anyway. But what he always says, sometimes it's you don't look at the schedules. Yeah, Kayvon got hurt. Yeah, I mean in the beginning, especially when he got in the preseason with his the guy the dude took his knee out. Thanks, man. Great, good block. Yeah, glad it's legal. Oh man, but if you listen to Bob Papa, I mean, he's talking about something trying to. Yeah, if you look at the schedule, you look at the schedule. This team is good. This team's good. This team's good. But you know what I mean. But he also says that sometimes it's not who you play; it's when you play them. I mean, like just case in point, last year, the last game of the season, we rested all of our guys. The Eagles wanted to win that game to get the number 1 seed and all of that. And somehow we almost wound up beating them. I don't know. I it's kind of weird how we put our first stringers in there. We lose by 300 points. We put our 13 stringers in there and we lost by 6 points. But Jalen Hurts was injured, his shoulder, right? So sometimes it's not when you play him. It's not who you're playing, it's when you play them. So now maybe if the Giants had their first stringers in there, if we needed to win that game, we got Daniel Jones in there, we got Kayvon, Sexy Dexy, all those guys in there, putting a hurt on Hurts, right? Maybe the game turns out different. Who knows? But because it's when he had his shoulder was banged up, so it's not who you play. It is who you play, but it's also sometimes when you play him. The Eagles played us the last game of the season. We didn't need to win the game. We rested our starters. Basically, we almost handed them the game pretty much, right? But sometimes if you play, something might happen. I mean, crazy things might happen. I'm not wishing on anybody, but say Dak Prescott gets hurt and then whoever their backup quarterback is gets hurt. So now we got their third string quarterback in there that we're playing them on Sunday night. Well, that's, things are going to start looking pretty good for the Giants, So we'll have to wait and see. He's great. Yeah, that show with Carl Banks. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Believe in Blue, I think it's called, right? Yeah. Yeah. And of course, you listen to Carl Banks. Well, that's why I like listening to Carl Banks, right? Yeah. Carl Banks and Big Blue Kickoff Live because you got Howard Cross there. Howard Cross was there today. He was talking today. And Jonathan Casillas when he's there, when he's on the show too, Big Blue Kickoff Live, because those guys, with P-Dot, because they're talking about, Jonathan Casillas always talks about like, when I was in training camp, we did this, we did that, right? When we used to be in the locker room, we did this, we did that. When I was on the first string, they're telling you all about, the days from the past. But I mean, Howard Cross brings in a lot of good aspects of way he thinks. Carl Banks has a good way of looking at things too. I mean, so it's really good to listen to those guys. I mean, because listen to Bob Papa and Paul Dottino. That's one thing, I mean, but the guys are on the field actually who have done it. It's something else. It's pretty special when you listen to those guys. And those guys, I mean, Carl Banks, 2-time Super Bowl champion. Can't beat it. Absolutely fantastic. Howard Cross, Banks should be considered. Yeah, well, hey, I guess I don't know. I guess it's not for everybody. I know he has like some. I think Bob Popham called him like an entrepreneur one time. So I don't know if he has like other things outside of football. Maybe he has some businesses going on or something like that. That I'm not sure of. But I mean, between the Believe in Blue, and I said, of course, then he does the football games and all that. So he owns. Oh, well, there you go. Okay. Oh, is he because remember they had the Blue Jackets on there? Was that from him last year? They had those old the starter jackets like from the frickin' 90s. Yeah, well, I had one of them too. I got too fat. And my son's a Cowboy fan, so I couldn't give it to him. So I donated. I forgot who I donated it to, but yeah, it's because the buttons snap, right? But I mean, if I ever went like this or whatever, a couple of the buttons would pop back open or whatever. Because I got it when I was back in the 90s. and I was probably about 30 pounds lighter, not maybe 40 pounds lighter. You know what I mean? So at the time, it felt good. It fit good, but obviously putting 30, 40 pounds on, 90% of it's in the is in the gut. So the buttons just snapped. It just looked kind of stupid. So I did donate it. But I had one of those. Yeah. So I was wondering, because remember last year they were on one of the shows or in a video or something like that, and they all had the old time starter jackets on there. Remember? Yeah, when Lawrence Taylor, he brought back the jackets. I paid to. Wow. Woo. Oh, Good Morning Football. But then they had the one Lawrence Taylor. He came in and he pulled up in front of they had a video of him. He was pulled up in front of the stadium, right? And he goes walking down the hallway. He's looking at the Super Bowl trophies. He's going like this. He's got a starter jacket on. And then he goes, sits down next to Saquon in the locker room, and he hits him on the shoulder. Hey, homeboy, this is for you. And he gives him was it the jerseys, the jerseys that they wound up wearing at night. Was the all white jerseys they wore at one of the games last year? Starter during the throwback games. Yeah. But I mean, Lawrence Taylor had a starter jacket. I don't know if they just gave that to him during the video shoot because he didn't have a giant outfit to wear or anything. I mean, he was probably coming in from the bar, all drunk and stuff, and he had a T-shirt and stuff, so they gave him the starter jacket to wear. The red Belichick coat. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you gotta, when they're looking over at the sideline, right, you got to distinguish yourself. And Mr. Belichick's not a very distinguished guy. He's not 7 foot tall. He's not, I mean, he's you got to distinguish yourself. I've got that stuff. Yeah. So, but that's pretty cool. Okay. So that's okay. So that's okay. Starter jackets. There you go. You learn something new every day. I didn't know that. But I remember because Papa, I believe, said something like that, some entrepreneurial, he said something like that but he didn't explain exactly what it was. So I was always kind of wondering what he meant, but okay. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, it's been 47 minutes. Try to be back again tomorrow. Yeah. Man, we're getting closer and closer. So we got about a week, 1 week from today, pretty much. They'll be out there in Detroit, knocking heads against the Lions. Pretty cool stuff. So they're off tomorrow, but I'm sure we'll have some news to talk about, something to talk about. We'll come up with something to talk about. So good talking to you guys. Hey, good talking to you. Terrence, if you're still there, buddy, good to see you back, pal. Thank you. And Jersey guys, good talking to you. So it's been 48 minutes. There we go. All right, 48 minutes. So whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. If anybody spends any time watching the replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I greatly appreciate it. We'll be back again tomorrow. And as always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah. There you go.